WWE recently released a DVD, which is rare nowadays with the network, about the women's evolution or revolution, whatever the hell you want to call it now. It's just annoying, the way to promote it on TV. I was wondering, okay, this is a DVD. They don't release many DVDs. They hype the hell out of the women's evolution for Stephanie McMahon's PR for a future political run. Why the hell are they not mentioning it? I didn't get it. This is a 3-disc set, has all the women featured on the cover. Why aren't they, even bringing it up? Well, I watched it. I can see why. Because it's just a bunch of shit. It's basically the women talk for 30 seconds and they throw a bunch of matches on there. It's a waste of money. It's a quick money grab. There's no documentary. I mean, I don't think they should have done a documentary because they've done like 2 million documentaries on the women on the WWE network. There's 2 major 24 specials. There's the 124 special I didn't like was I think it was called Women's Evolution, and the second one they recently released a few months ago in March. It was called Empowered. That was better, but here, it's like they've done 2 major documentaries. They're not going to do another one. They'll do another one in a couple of years, probably, when they do Charlotte and Ronda at WrestleMania main event. But it's like all they had was like the woman talk for 30 seconds. Did they just like bring them back backstage on TV and like have them talk for about like a minute? That's all it was. Nothing. Anyway. They show a bunch of women. They show all their top stars. They show Alexa Bliss first, since I think she's their favorite. Then they show Charlotte. She's their top star. And they show all the other ones. So the first spotlight is Wendi Richter. They have Wendi Richter talk for like a minute. And then they showed her winning the title from the Fabulous Moolah. I guarantee you before the Fabulous Moolah controversy from earlier this year with the Women's Battle Royal, she would have been on this documentary, but obviously she's not. This match, Moolah, it's old women's matches. Nothing to that match at all was horrible. Not a fan of Moolah at all. He had the traditional Survivor Series elimination match, and this was the spotlight on Sensational Sherri. I don't know when they did this. I mean, she was alive, I guess, when they shot this, because, Sherri looks great, actually. Unfortunately, she passed later. She's been gone for 11 years. She died in 2007, I think so. So, but they showed this. Sherri's a legend, for sure. The women's match, Survivor Series elimination match, majority of them, it was a weird time in WWE. The majority of these girls was pretty bad. It was not a good match. There was a lot of bad wrestling. They went to Medusa, Alundra, Blayze. She is Medusa. I'm calling her Medusa. They can call her Alundra, Blayze, all they want. They showed her Bill Nakano winning the title, or beating Bill Nakano. Match was fine. Alundra, Blayze, I always thought Medusa comes off really likable, really cool. She's someone you probably want to have a beer with. That's the kind of chick she is. Then they had a spotlight on Ivory, and I don't know, is Ivory really? She'd need a spotlight? I guess she just wins her Hall of Fame. They showed her getting destroyed by Chyna. I think to myself, this is such bullshit. Chyna should have got the spot, but she's deceased, so I mean, what are you gonna do? I guess they want to show this was her just this was a squash match. I remember watching that WrestleMania 17. It was just Chyna just destroyed her, which I think was probably the best thing, because that's probably the most realistic. That is the most realistic thing in that match. Then they did something with Victoria, which we never get to see Victoria. That was cool. I was happy they showed Victoria. They never show Victoria anymore. We never get to see her on any of, the Raw 25 or any of that stuff. She should be in the Hall of Fame. She was a big star, but they showed her in the match she had with Trish. I'm so disappointed they showed the Survivor Series match. I love their Survivor Series match. They had that street fight when Victoria, was getting into Trish's head and stuff, and then she won the title. Man, I love that match. I don't know why they had to show that match. They had some random match on Raw. Show the Survivor Series match from 02. They went to Lita. Lita's, of course, major star. They showed her steel cage match with Victoria. Lita's spotlight was, it wasn't as long as you'd think for her, but, it's like there's all they have is the woman talk for 40. Some of them get more time than others, but they showed the match she had with Victoria. Cage match, and they show stuff. I remember some of that match. I remember seeing the women's wrestling a lot in 02, 2003, 2002, 2003, 2004. And parts of 2005 even. They'd have a lot of street fights and cage matches and tables matches. They did a lot of stuff. Maybe not tables, but they had a lot of street fights. I remember the women's street fights when they'd always have to have the trash cans on top of the poles. You guys remember that? This was a fine match. Then they went to Molly Holly, which was an odd choice. I guess she might go into the Hall of Fame soon. She might be their next one next year, I guess. But they showed the match. They probably want to show her in Victoria at WrestleMania 20. When she gets her head shaved. Then they go to Trish Stratus. Trish, of course, gets a lengthy spotlight. They show her match with Lita on Raw. That for sure they had to show that. That was definitely when they got to headline Raw. That was definitely a big deal. Their match was a good match. I enjoyed their match they had on Raw that night. It was a really good story. Even though I was disappointed how they told it. I think Lita's injury kind of ruined everything. But if this was up to me, I would have held off on that, and I would have had Lita beat Trish at WrestleMania 21. To me, that was the perfect story. Trish is champion. She's she's cheating. She keeps getting away. I would have held that title to WrestleMania 21, and then that's where I have Lita beat Trish for the title. Instead, they did it on Raw. I would have held that off to WrestleMania, but that was me. They never had a match together at WrestleMania. That really should have been WrestleMania 21. They went to Mickie James. She had her spotlight, and then she talked about her rise in WWE. They showed the match she had at Trish Stratus at WrestleMania 22. This was a good match. It wasn't as good as I remember. I remember really liking it. I mean, everyone remembers. We all know the spot. Mickie grabs Trish's, she grabs her pussy, basically. Grabs her by the pussy. And, she does, this, lesbian pussy-looking symbol after she grabs her by the crotch. I remember that was crazy. They had a good match. I don't know. It wasn't as good as I remember, though. But it was still a good match. Mickie James wins the title there. Then they give AJ Lee a spotlight. I'm sure this had to be shot before they did the fucking stuff with CM Punk went down. This probably for sure was shot 2013, 2014 when she was still in the company. Because this is brief. AJ, she was definitely a star. I'm happy they mentioned her because I thought for sure they'd skip over her. But they did bring her up. They showed the match she had with Caitlyn. Caitlyn did have a spotlight, but the thing with Caitlyn and AJ, I remember that match, I remember really, really liking. I thought they had a hell of a match at Payback 2013. Very good match. I didn't like the storyline. The storyline is, it was high school drama stuff. But that match they had, that was a damn good women's match. I remember liking it a lot. Then the spotlight was on Paige, and Paige, they go through her rise in Paige, man. She looks so much different now than she did in when this match with Emma happened in 2014. It's so noticeable. It's kind of embarrassing for her because, wow, you can tell there's a huge difference. They didn't give, Emma's been released. She can't get a spotlight, but, that match, it was a good match. I remember liking it. I remember really loving it when they first had it, when they had so many matches on TakeOver that were so much better. But when you go back, it was still a solid match. For that time, it blew away anything you'd see on the main roster because they had a really fun match. I enjoyed it. Hopefully they bring Emma back. I know she's had some problems with injuries, but maybe in a couple years. I mean, she's been released for what 7, 8, 9 months, maybe a year. They bring her back. I think I'd like to see her come back. They usually give people second chances if she does well in the Indies, so hopefully to bring Emma back. They did spotlight Natalya. She talked a lot about her match with Charlotte. Natalya she has a really great attitude because a lot of women in her spot, she's so talented. They don't like having the position of just being, the mentor to all the other girls. That's kind of her role. But the match here at Charlotte NXT TakeOver, this is the second main show NXT did. The first TakeOver, they had a hell of a match. Great match. Again, wasn't as good as I remember. I remember when I first watched it, I loved the match. Wasn't as good as I remembered the first time, but it was still a hell of a match. Still really good. The matches Paige and Emma had the show before was good. This blew it away. This was a great match. Up next was a spotlight on the Bella Twins. I'm thinking to myself, this is such bullshit. I mean, it's Nikki Bella is so much like Stephanie McMahon. It's you can tell these chicks are so fake. I don't know. She's so much like Stephanie. And they showed the match. Nikki talked most of the thing on the spotlight. They showed the match with Brie and Stephanie at SummerSlam 2014. This was a good build-up, but then it started to get overturned. They did the stuff. I remember the whole stuff with Daniel Bryan, and I think they brought in Chelsea Green or something. Yeah, that feud went off a cliff, and the match wasn't very good. It was kind of a dud, Not a horrible match, but it was it wasn't good. Crowd was way more into Stephanie McMahon than they were into Brie Bella. Stephanie was really over in the match. This is where Nikki turns on Brie, and they had that terrible feud in 2014, which I love to forget. So then they went to the spotlight on Bayley. Kind of weird they showed her first of the Four Horsewomen because she was the last one to debut, but they showed Bayley was emotional, she was crying. The first thing they showed was the Iron Man match at NXT Takeover Respect. So they showed the Iron Man match because it was the first ever Iron Man match for the women. Even though, I mean, the match they had at Brooklyn, the first NXT Takeover in Brooklyn, blew that match away. The Iron Man match was really good, but I thought the Brooklyn match, I loved it. I thought that was just great. I thought that was much better. And the Iron Man match was still really good, but I thought the match they had at the previous NXT was better. But this was a good spotlight on Bayley. Then they went to a spotlight in Charlotte, and this was short. I thought they'd give Charlotte a lot more, but it was kind of quick. They show Charlotte, and they show her, all the stuff time she's won the women's title, and then they show the match they show for her is the WrestleMania 32 match, Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha in the triple threat match. This was a really good match, really good. I thought they had the best match at WrestleMania, and it might still be the best women's wrestling match of all at a WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know, maybe, I guess if you count the mixed tag from this year's, but that, I don't know if I can count that because there was still men in there too. And Charlotte and Asuka, I'd still say this might be slightly better than Charlotte and Asuka from this year. That was really good too, but that was a good match until I was watching that match. They had some botches, but it was still good. And that was the Charlotte, the match they decided to show for Charlotte, which I guess is a good choice. Then they went to Becky Lynch. She had her own spotlight. Hers wasn't as long again. Like, they kind of go through them. Charlotte and Becky would have a lot more time, but they showed the six-pack challenge from No Mercy from Backlash 2016. Good match. Becky wins the title. She was the first ever SmackDown Women's title. So after Becky's spotlight, then they go to Sasha. So they have all the four horsemen. They have Bayley, then they have Charlotte, they have Becky, and then they end the second DVD. So they end the second one with Sasha Banks. So she closes it out. She'll quick. I mean, it's like I've seen all of them talk about their careers a billion times. All the four horsemen, all these NXT women, all the divas. Like, they talk every single. We know their story, and then Sasha, again. They chose the matches, I guess, they thought were historical. So they decided for Sasha to show the match at the Hell in a Cell she had at Charlotte in her hometown in Boston. And, man, this match, I didn't like it. I thought the first ever women's Hell in a Cell was not good. I thought it was a disaster. They messed everything up. There was so much botches. I call this match the Botch in the Cell. That's my nickname, Botch in a Cell. They messed everything up in that match. I did not like that at all. I thought it was just a weird match. It was weird Charlotte won because it was Sasha's hometown. But then again, a babyface in her hometown has to lose. But I guess they had to show it because it was the first ever. So they, when they had Sasha, they had to show the first ever thing. Hell in a Cell is historical, I guess. That's what they decided to go with. On the third DVD, they start off with Carmella. Carmella has her own spotlight. I've been very critical of her as a champion. She's not good, even though she comes off likable in her spotlight. I'm sure she's nice. I'm not a fan of her. I don't think she should be champion. She's not championship material. And they showed the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The first one, that one was not good. That was not a good match. I thought that was easily one of the worst ladder matches. They did nothing in that match. The match they had this year was way better, actually. But I was not a fan at all of that Women's Money in the Bank. Easily one of the worst ladder matches. So the spotlight on Mae Young. The only reason they did it on Mae Young was so they can go to the Mae Young Classic. Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. So I thought they had a good match. I thought the Mae Young Classic, I don't know. I mean, I heard they rehearsed every fucking match, so it's hard to really praise it. I heard that was true. Then they go to the Royal Rumble participants. Then, I mean, they did the Royal Rumble documentary, like the whole empowered stuff. So it's like, I've seen everything. It's like, they've done so much stuff on the women. There's a fucking revolution, WWE. But they show the Women's Royal Rumble, they show the whole thing, so it's a whole hour. So like the majority of this is just collections of matches, and there's quick spotlights. That's what it is. I mean, you could have just done something like this on the network. You do collections on the network. That's all they really should have done with this. But Women's Royal Rumble, again, it was good. It was fine. I thought the men's was actually way better that year. Like this past year, actually. But it was fine. I thought it got better near the end. And then they go for the spotlight on Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss she has some time. At the end, it's like she comes off too nice. I mean, I'm sure she's a nice person, but her whole heel gimmick, it's like at the end she's giving this whole motivational speech. It's like, I don't know. I get the impression like I know it's wrestling fans. They all know it's a work, but she came off like too nice, I thought, near the end. But they showed Elimination Chamber match this year. I thought it was a good match. I liked it. I thought they did well. I thought it got good near the end. I thought a lot when it came down to the final three, Alexa, Bayley, and Sasha, it actually got really good. That was a fine choice. Again, historical, they have to show the first ever Women's Rumble, first ever Women's Hell in a Cell, first ever Women's Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank. It's more of just matches that they need to have collected on. And then they ended up with Ronda Rousey. They basically just showed the WrestleMania video package, and then they showed Ronda and Triple H, or Ronda and Crown against Triple H and Stephanie. So the match they had at WrestleMania 34 this year, a great match. Really, I thought the best match on the show. It's a cool match to end it off with. Rousey gets her first one, and then they go with some video package to end the thing. So it was a documentary. It's just quick. Crash Gab.